When we hear the word royal or king, the first thing that comes to our mind is wealthy millionaires and billionaires with an insane amount of wealth. But did you know some kings in the present world are not that rich if we compare them to the other kings of the past? Probably not. Don't worry, we're here to solve this problem as we bring you the list of the 10 poorest kings of the world. So, without further delay, let's start. Number 10 is Tuheisyapaki VI. Tuheisyapaki VI is a king of Tonga, which not many people have heard of. It's a Polynesian kingdom of more than 170 South Pacific islands. The population of this country is about 100,000. Tuheisyapaki VI took up the throne in the year 2006 after the death of his father. The Kingdom of Tonga became a constitutional monarchy under King Tuheisyapaki VI. Before this, he served as the 13th Prime Minister of Tonga and was then Tonga's High Commissioner to Australia. The country or Kingdom of Tonga is dominated by the king, the nobility, and the powerful non-royal elite. According to various sources, the net worth of the king lies somewhere between $2 million and $100 million, and all his wealth comes from his control of the country. At number 9 is the king of a small European country, Sweden, Carl Gustaf XVI. The king belongs to the House Bernadotte, which has ruled Sweden for centuries. Carl Gustaf ascended the throne after his grandfather, Gustav Adolf IV's death in 1973. At that time, the age of the king was just 28 years old. Shortly after Gustav became king, he was stripped of his power, and now the king holds very little power. According to the 1974 Constitution, the monarch has no political affinity or formal powers. The king's duties are mainly of a ceremonial and representative nature. The net worth of King Carl XVI is $62 million. Though he has no power as a king, he enjoys the status of king and millions of dollars from the government of Sweden as salary. Number 8. Imswati III. Imswati III is the king of a small landlocked country in South Africa, Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland. The king of Eswatini is now 54 years old, and he's been ruling his nation for more than 38 years. The king belongs to the House of Dalmini, which has ruled Eswatini for years. Currently, the king has absolute control in his country. King Imswati became the king on April 25, 1986, making him the youngest king of the nation and the head of the royal family. According to a Forbes report, the king's net worth is about $50 million, which is because the king owns most of the country's industries. Apart from companies, he also owns a private investment firm. The king became popular for his lavish lifestyle and love for cars after he bought a $50,000 Maybach 62. Number 7. King Harald V. King Harald V is the king of Norway. He ascended the throne on January 17, 1991, when he was just 20. He belongs to the royal house of House Glücksburg, which came to power in 1905 and ruled the nation for more than 60 years. Though Harald V is considered king, he holds no power as king. Norway is a constitutional monarchy. This means that the king is formally the head of state, but that his duties are mainly representative and ceremonial, with a net worth of about $30 million. Most of it comes from the government of Norway. Despite not having any powers as king, Harald V enjoys the celebrity attention given to him by the people of Norway. Number 6. Felipe. Felipe is the king of Belgium. He belongs to the Royal House of Belgium and became king in 2013 at 33. Felipe's status is a mere status because Belgium is a democratic country, and the king holds not much importance in the decision-making. The king's net worth is about $14 million. You might think that's a lot of money, and that's in no way poor, but when it comes to kings and standards of kings, this is pretty low. The king's wealth comes from the government, which contributes almost $13 to $14 million to the royal family, and all their expenses are also taken care of by the government. Number 5. Muetso Laltan Kiram. He's the head of the House of Sulu. It's an Islamic royal house of the country of the Philippines that ruled this small Southeast Asian island. He became the king in February 1986. Though the Philippines is a democratic country, the government of the Philippines acknowledges the royal house and its head, Muetso Laltan Kiram, as the king of the nation. But when it comes to power, the king holds no special powers, which is why he's one of the poorest kings in the world. The king's net worth is about $5 million, and unlike other kings, most of his income comes from his work, and the Philippines government contributes nothing. This 54-year-old king is famous and successful in his country. Number 4. Tuheisyapaki. Tuheisyapaki is a head of a famous tribe in New Zealand and the world, which is the Maori tribe. This tribe has ruled New Zealand for centuries and is considered one of the oldest tribes in the world. Tuheisyapaki was announced as the next king in 2006 when he was 51. Tuheisyapaki is recognized as a king by the government of New Zealand. Still, no special power is given to him. The king is respected in his country and is often invited to attend special programs and events. And the king is seen donating an extensive amount to charity, like the one time he donated $200,000. The net worth of the king is about $3 million. Most of it comes from his hard work, and part of it he receives from the government of New Zealand as a salary. Number 3. Felipe VI. Next on the list is the King of Spain. His full name is Felipe Juan Pablo Alfonso de Todos los Santos de Borbón y Grecia, but here we'll call him Felipe VI. He belongs to the royal house of Bourbon-Anjou, which ruled Spain for 2 centuries until 1900. On June 19, 2014, Felipe took the oath outlined in Article 61 of the Constitution and was proclaimed king before Parliament, taking the name of Felipe VI. The King of Spain's net worth is $2.8 million, and this comes from the government of Spain, which allows a certain budget every year for the royal family. The king also enjoys a certain power in the country. As the reigning monarch, the King of Spain has absolute sovereign immunity. He cannot be charged in any court of law in the Spanish state. Number 2. Jigme Khesar Namgyel. Jigme Khesar Namgyel is king of Bhutan and belongs to the royal house of Wangchuck, which first came into power in the year 1861. Bhutan is a small landlocked country in Asia known for the Himalayan ranges. It has a population of 700,000 people. Jigme Khesar became king of the nation in the year 2006. Although Bhutan as a country made an effort to become a democracy, the king held most of his powers. He's also popular in his country. The net worth of King Jigme Khesar Namgyel is about $1.5 million. Most of it is contributed by the government of Bhutan. Number 1. Norodom Sihamoni. The King of Cambodia, Norodom Sihamoni, belongs to the House of Norodom. This house has ruled Cambodia for about a century. Cambodia is a southeastern country in Asia with a population of 10.6 million. Norodom Sihamoni became the king of this beautiful country on October 14, 2004. Now coming to the net worth of the poorest king, well, it's about $500,000. The king receives money from the government and donations from the country's people. Cambodia is a democracy, and there's no power bestowed upon the king. The king's power is limited to that of a symbolic figurehead to whom people are able to give love and respect. The monarch also represents peace, stability, and prosperity to the people of Cambodia. Thanks for watching the video. Comment down below what you think of our list. Also, press the subscribe button and the bell icon for regular updates.